Today's podcast is brought to you by Introduction to Online Business Made Simple, a 6-part audio course that teaches you how to start your own online business venture. Find out more at usingyourpower.com/course.
Welcome to Using Your Power. I'm David Wiebe, and I'm joined by
Maveen, Kaura.
How's it going, Mav?
Oh man, I'm doing very good today. I'm excited.
I'm powered up too.
Yeah, awesome. You know, I think this topic that we're going to be talking about today is a little bit different than some of the other topics we've talked about. We're talking about 10 ways to save the planet, and we're talking about planet Earth, right?
Yeah.
So this is a really deep topic. You know, I know we're going to try to keep this in the 15-minute conversation if we can, but there's some really good points that, you know, that we both have that we'd really like our listener to consider on just things that they can do to also help save the world.
Yeah, I mean, I really had to sit down and think about what to say here. And I mean, I'm theorizing based on things that I've heard or thought about or had discussions on and bringing up those points. But I mean, we'll get to this too later on, but we also have to consider, are we in trouble or is the planet in trouble? But we'll get to that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think we all know that answer, but I'm going to let you hit on that since you brought it up.
All right.
Awesome.
So the first point I had was actually eliminating waste and pollution. Seems to me, you know, a lot of our problems are caused by the garbage, the landfills, all the pollution that's produced by factories and even nuclear power plants, which have become a problem in Japan lately. And we've seen a lot of stuff happen due to the way we've used our technology, or maybe abused, as the case may be. So if we were able to put a stop to some of that, I think we begin to see the planet repair itself.
Absolutely. You know, there's countries like, I think it was Germany, who have zero waste when it comes to garbage. So that's amazing, right? To have a country that can do that. I know in Canada, we're definitely behind, especially in North America, we're definitely behind as well. But I know in where we live in Calgary, we're definitely starting to see, you know, blue bins that are for recycling. We got black bins that are for garbage, you know, and we're starting, I think we're going to be getting a green bin or something like that will be for, you know, natural waste, such as like, you know, banana peels, apple peels, you know, grass clippings and stuff like that. So, I mean, a lot more they'll be getting into that. I think it's so behind on when we're getting it. I understand the infrastructure may have not been there in the past, but you know, I think that all these things could have been done so long ago to help continue to save the planet from all the waste that we have, right? We got to think 1 million people producing at least 1 pound of waste a day. That's 1 million pounds a day. Multiply that, and that's just in Calgary. So
I know, and it's all timing too, because like in Canada, we have an incredibly clean country compared to many others that are out there, and we're probably not the worst offenders as far as, you know, some of the crazy pollution that happens in the world. But you're right, there's more we can do. So.
Oh, absolutely. You know, I know I've been to India and stuff, and the pollution there is just, you know, it's crazy. I know you can smell the pollution, you can see it. You know, you go to places like China as well, no different. I think a lot of the places, even in North America, you go somewhere like New York and potentially, I think it's LA as well, where they have 36 million people in just one small city or something like that. You know, that's a lot of people creating a lot of pollution and waste, and that it's very visible.
Yeah. What's your first point?
You know, my first point was, you know, it kind of works on the pollution side of things too. One of the things that we could do is have people work from home more often versus driving to their businesses. One of the things that it will do is it'll eliminate the need for all these commercial buildings that we keep building, the infrastructure that we keep building and using our resources. Our homes are a great resource, especially with all the technology we have nowadays. You're able to Skype, you're able to have cell phones to make phone calls. You know, a lot of companies have put out conferencing systems, and there's so many things that we could do nowadays where we can work from home and not have to use our vehicles and gasoline and burn that fossil fuel to create that, you know, but potential hole in the ozone layer, right? I don't really know too much if there is or isn't and what's causing it, what's not causing it. Yeah. I'm not going to get into that. All I know is, you know, I do know when we burn fossil fuels, it does create gases which can harm the earth.
Yeah, and I mean, from what I've heard, we haven't exactly figured out the whole alternative car formula either. Like electric cars in some ways can produce more harmful waste than even standard cars, or so I've heard. So I don't know if that's true or not, but I don't know if we've had an exact formula nailed down for a more eco-friendly car as of yet. So I do like your point.
No, we'll have to keep waiting, right? I know Tesla's definitely one of the cars that are out there trying to do some stuff out there.
Yeah.
Again, you're right. I don't know how efficient their emissions are or are not, but I know there are some places, even in the States or in the each province in Canada, they do make you do emissions tests as well on your vehicle to help eliminate or bring that number down as well, right? So
Exactly. I mean, the next point I have, and this is already controversial, but controlling population growth. I mean, we are growing out of control, 7.5 billion and rising fast. I mean, we're really not that far off from 7.6 billion at this point, if we haven't already reached it. I mean, people want to marry and have kids, and I don't have a problem with that. I have the same desires as well to have a kid one day or a couple of kids one day, but we have to be thinking about the impact that has on the planet ultimately and the resources we end up using per person and how that affects our environment. And like I said, the system that's already in place that we talked about earlier, which is producing waste and pollution.
Absolutely. I think we brought that at this point up when we were talking about our pharmaceutical episode right at the beginning. I believe it's episode 4. Don't apologize if I get that episode number wrong, but definitely look it up. That was something we talked about with technology and science really helping people. Maybe it was a technology and science episode we did, helping people live longer. And again, that's right, more people living longer, more people having, children, and the populations are going to continually grow out of control, right? I know places like China have tried to implement where they limit the amount of children you can have. But I mean, if you have a country that already has 1 billion people, and you can everybody's still allowed to have one child as an example, that's still creating more people in the end, right? So I don't think we should be able to say to somebody, you need to have X amount of kids. I don't think that's right.
No.
That's not human to be telling somebody you can or cannot have. That's something that I think is a choice that a man and woman can make when they have a child. If you're not a man and woman and you're with a woman and you're a woman, and if you're a man and you're with a man, you're still looking to adopt, I think that's still some great options out there for you. But you're right, out of control population growth is one day going to harm us. Absolutely agreed.
Right. What's your next point?
My next point was maintaining your car, right? A lot of times what people do is instead of spending the money to maintain their vehicle, what they do is they'll get through and they'll go buy another car that's, brand new. And what we end up doing is buying new cars. Absolutely, they may have less emissions and stuff, but why don't we maintain the vehicles we actually have, because all the vehicles that are being made today are great vehicles. They're supposedly low emission vehicles as well, best technology that we've seen in any vehicle in a long time. If we're not releasing a brand new version of a vehicle every year, there's less resources being put into making new vehicles. So we're not spending millions and billions of dollars on aluminum to make new vehicles or on metals to make new vehicles, and that metal and aluminum could be left either in the ground and not disturbed, or we can use it to make other things that are more important than making a brand new version of a car every single year. Why not make a brand new version of a car every few years, maybe every 3 years, right? We don't need a brand new car every single year, in my personal opinion.
Yeah, I think that goes right into my next point too, which is to rely more on sustainable energy sources. Obviously, with fossil fuels and gasoline and oil and all that kind of stuff, we figured out over time that just seems to pollute the environment and cause more issues for the planet. So if we can move over to, and again, there are issues with these energy sources too, and they don't always work perfectly, but whether it's wind or solar or water or hydro, I mean, if we can move over to those energy sources, which we can easily renew or are more sustainable, that would probably help.
I think so too, right? I mean, we're just starting to understand how solar energy and wind energy and hydro energy can really be valuable to us. I get it that it is probably a little bit more expensive to do because we already have the infrastructure for other sources. But if we decide it is time for us to turn that over, it can make a huge difference for the life that we live and the quality of life that we live as well. Because we're not going to be breathing in all this pollution. The Earth, like I think you're going to get into it, will probably survive, but we probably won't if we don't start controlling the air we're starting to breathe. And I think sustainable resources, what you're saying, will probably help.
Yeah, exactly.
Awesome. One of the things I was thinking about, and again, this might be a little controversial, not everybody is going to agree with what I'm about to say, but some people will. I think what we need to do is stop selling food for profit.
Wow.
One of the things that I think start happening is food is a basic necessity of life for everybody. We all need to eat. We all need to live, and we all need energy to do things, right? And what happens, unfortunately, is I've gone to the grocery store and I've seen the person working there, the clerk, they'll go through and they're going through the vegetables and picking stuff up that's already starting to go rotten and is not selling, right? Now, guess why? Because people don't want to pay money or pay extra money for something that's not going to be the best quality, right? So instead what we do is we end up throwing out millions and millions of pounds of food all around the world while other people are just starving for the food that we could be giving them. So I think if we start looking at giving food to people and not trying to make profit on every single thing that we do, can this help with the lessening deforestation as well? Because one of the things that we're doing is we're saying, okay, let's cut all these trees down so we can have cows over there, so we can then have them graze and then we can eat them, right? So I think the less we deforest.
Yeah.
The less we have deforestation, that's the word. The less pollutants we also send back into our ozone as well.
Well, that's a domino that could change a lot of different things, right? If we're no longer profiting on food, then why would we profit on pharmaceuticals, at least on the scale that we're profiting them on right now? I mean, it's a domino that would begin to tumble down so many different industries. It's crazy to think about. My next point is to pay attention to how you use water. This is apparently a really big deal. And, when you're showering, for instance, like, are you showering 5 minutes or are you showering 30, 40 minutes? Not to take your enjoyment away from life, or, I know people that really love their shower and it's stress relieving for them and it helps them focus the rest of the day. And I get all that. But I think we use water fairly irresponsibly, and there's new ordinances and regulations and things going into place to control water use more so than before. So it's not so much maybe the water use as much as the energy it takes to use, as well as the energy it takes to clean the water once it's used all over again. And that's the bigger factor.
Absolutely. We're using chemicals to clean the water, and then we're in actuality just redigesting those exact chemicals that clean the water, right? So, I understand we definitely need to, the same water that exists today existed millions and millions of years ago, even billions of years ago. And we need to continually recycle that, because we're not going to get any new water. All we're doing is moving that water around the earth and around the planet, right? So yeah. I love what you're saying there.
Nice.
One of the things I was thinking about is, and again, people may not like what this point's going to be. Some people are going to enjoy it, and I think a lot of people may agree. But one of the things we could probably do to save the planet is get rid of capitalism. The reason I say that is, we are all slaves to this system that we're in. We have to go to work. We have to do certain things to make profits for a lot of these big companies. And what do these big companies do? A lot of them pollute. A lot of them waste resources. A lot of them are, don't really care about what happens to the earth. They're dumping oil. There's oil spills and whatnot, and they don't care. They'll pay their $1 billion fine while they turn around and make 60, 70, $80 billion on the back end, right? So they don't really care what $1 billion is for them, right? So if we start not looking at capitalism as a good or a bad thing. Capitalism may have its point and place in the world, but I think if we stop looking at just the profit side of business and start looking at the humanity side of business, we may be able to save the planet, because now we're not only focused on making money, we're focused on helping people and helping people survive.
Yeah, I guess that goes back to what you said earlier about food sources, right? Like, if there was no profit in that, then that would change how a lot of other things work, such as the healthcare industry. So it's similar, if some things we couldn't make a profit on them as much as we could before, such as shorting the market and stuff like that, then maybe we would be focused less on that kind of stuff and use less energy. So I think I see where you're coming from there.
Yeah, man, absolutely.
Yeah.
Like you were saying, right? There's a lot of different things that could be impacted if we stop looking at the profit side of everything we do, right? I don't know when profit became such a huge thing in the world, but definitely
control.
It's all about control, right? And we could definitely get into that conversation probably on a different episode. But if we got rid of that, absolutely, I think we would start making some huge changes in the world.
Exactly. My last point, and it's just a question really, is the planet in trouble? I mean, we could probably hit it with the biggest, baddest bombs we have right now. And yes, humanity as we know it may be altered permanently, but would the Earth be altered permanently? I think over time it could probably recreate itself. I mean, the only thing that could change the permanent, location of Earth, or the presence of Earth, is probably like a meteor, right? That's one thing that could maybe break the planet for good and we would no longer have it. But besides that, I can't imagine too many things. I don't even know if we quite have that kind of technology yet to be able to destroy Earth. So that means Earth is fine. The problem is us.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's been meteors that have hit the planet Earth many times. They say that's what's potentially, took out the dinosaurs as well. A meteor hitting the Earth and a huge cloud of dust blocking out the sun and killed everything, right? So it killed everything. That means the planet stayed because we're here right now, right? So,
exactly.
I mean, you got a great point, right? I think the planet is fine. The only time I think, from what I understand, what science says is the planet will not be fine after the sun burns out, right? It's a star. So once that star burns out, all life as we know it will die. But guess what? It'll still continue to exist as a rock, because that's exactly what Mars looks like. That's what all the other planets in our solar system look like. They just are, they probably potentially had life on them at one point, and, their stars have burnt out, or they're just too far and now they don't, or they're just some other sort of organisms there.
Yeah, it's fascinating stuff.
Oh, man. You can keep me talking on this kind of stuff all day.
Obviously.
My last point I was thinking about was, is it worthwhile? And again, this kind of sits back on our profit talk that we've been having. Would it be better for us to all go back to more of a minimalistic lifestyle versus, wanting to have the biggest, baddest yachts and having private planes and all these different things that really, I mean, they're great. They make everybody's life easy. It allows us to get around. But, in the end, is it really adding any additional value to you when you die? When sure, you can travel and you can do all the things you want in the world, and absolutely you should have the opportunity to do that. But should we maybe consider living more of a minimalistic lifestyle and really think about what we need versus what we want? And I think a lot of people just want things, so they're out there being a slave to the system, staying a slave to the system, and allowing the bigger companies to have all these yachts and planes and stuff, while they really may never have it, right? So I really want you to consider that as a listener. Why are we continuing to work so hard, when we all know what the outcome at the end is going to be?
Well, here in North America, we focus so much on first world problems, right? It's because we have the luxury to be able to do that. We think about who is our future partner going to be, and what's the next car that I want, and what's my big vision for my business and what I want to accomplish. Meanwhile, there's people that don't have the luxury of even thinking about that kind of stuff. So, it's a different kind of pursuit. I mean, no matter where you reach in life, you're obviously going to have more to look forward to and more to work on. Go as far as you can see, and then you'll see further. It's just how it is. But when we have a world where, people are worried about their next meal, never mind anything else, things are messed up.
Yeah, for sure. I think you hit it on the nose, right? We really do got to take care of the basics. I think a lot of people are so busy just taking care of the basics of their own life, they forget to take care of the basics of other people. I mean, absolutely, other people should also be responsible for their own lives as well. I'm not going to take them off the hook, but I mean, we should be helping these people better themselves, at least get them in a better position. That's just here in North America. Not talking about third world countries where they have extreme poverty, extreme warfare. We need to stop all that. That'll help save at least the people of this planet, if not the planet, because we already know nothing is happening to the planet for sure, unless, like you said, such a huge meteorite that has never been seen that big comes and hits the planet and splits it in half. You're right.
Exactly. Any other thoughts?
No, man, I'm good.
Okay. Yeah, good discussion. So you can find us at usingyourpower.com. And you can leave a comment or send us a message while you're there. You can download our free audio course, or even purchase our business audio course, which we've been sharing with you in the latest episodes.
Why would someone want to purchase that, David?
I think if they're looking to get started online, get a little bit of hands-on help from us, get it plugged into, the right plugins for WordPress, or figuring out how to take their freelancing career to the next level. There's a lot of reasons, but I think those are some.
Awesome, man. Thank you so much.
All right.